Welcome back to a bevy of bloods for round 8 of the AFLW 2023 season. We have crushed record books with a win over the Doggies, and we're going to get really excited about it. So fluff up your tail feathers and settle in for a potentially and hopefully less biased yarn about all things to do with our beloved bloods.
Swans!
We welcome back to the potty, the dream team of the week. We have Polly and Steve-O. Welcome back, team.
Hello, hello.
Hey, good to be here.
All right, both of you, it's good to have you both. I'm not going to do my little spiel about how you should probably, follow us or maybe look for us on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or wherever it takes your fanny, and then go ahead and then click on follow and like and other stuff. I'm not going to tell everyone to do that. You know what I'm going to say. Okay, so let's just move on with the game details, and I want to remind you to follow us and all the places you need to follow us on. We'll leave that there. No more talking about that from here on in. This is the last time I will say it for this particular podcast. Last Saturday, our Sydney Swans defeated the Western Bulldogs by 57 points. That's not right. Is that right?
Is.
Okay.
Yep.
Last Saturday, our Sydney Swans defeated the Western Bulldogs by 57 points with a final score of 6-3-39 to 14-12 96. Polly, you were at the game. Please brief us with your wisdom, all the fantastic wisdom you absorbed from the game.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. It was an honour and a blessing to be there. I clearly picked the right weekend to go to Melbourne. I think we all joked last week that it was probably not going to be an easy win. Not even joking. I think we seriously didn't think it was going to be an easy win. And the whole game, I just had this fear that the Western Bulldogs were going to come back. But the girls just hung on so well. They put them away. It was just incredible to see. And be away from home to do it as well it was just a dream situation for me in particular. But a dream situation for the girls as well.
Steve-O, what about yourself, mate?
Oh, that was great, wasn't it? I was watching it on the telly, and look, the Dogs were short of players, we knew that, but like Polly said, we were a bit worried still that, you've still got to beat them, you've still got to turn up. And they did, and they really did. And they, even more importantly for the context of the season, they fixed up a lot of the percentage problem that was keeping us out of contention. They put on, I think 17 or 18 percentage points, and they pushed it too. Like, the game was over. Like, by half-time, early in the third quarter, it was clear that the Swans were going to win. But the Dogs came back and they got a couple of goals against us in the third quarter, and then the Swans didn't just say, okay, we've got enough of a margin, we're just going to cruise through the siren. They really came back and they scored a couple back themselves. Cynthia Hamilton kicked a couple, and I really liked the intent and how they went about it. It was a really pro effort, I think, from the girls.
Professional effort. Sorry, Polly, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it never felt like they slowed down. They stayed on top of them the entire game, which I feel like we haven't really seen them do before. We haven't seen them, obviously we haven't seen them win by this much. This is a record-breaking win. All of our wins have been relatively close. But this, particular felt like we were the better team the entire time, which I don't know if I can say that for every game we've played. And it was just really, really good to see.
Yep, they are special. It was a full effort too, but there was a couple of key players that just played out of their absolute skin, and we'll get into a bit of that. But I think a big part of it was also Gowans, from what I understand, at the halftime kick, was effectively telling them all, go for the century, basically, go for the 100. Like he gave them the task to keep going rather than, he didn't say go protect the lead, he didn't say good work, just go out there, keep putting it on, put on that scoreboard, try to get to 100. And that's what kind of maybe kept them with the pressure, right? That's the way I saw it.
Yeah, I was there with my friend Annie, and we were trying to will them over that 100 point. We nearly got there. It would have been amazing to get 100, but I think it was, I think honestly 96 just as good. Maybe one of those 12 behinds were a goal. We would have been at 100. But look, honestly, if someone had said, Polly, you're going to go to a game next year with the Swans girls score 96 points, I would have told you you're an idiot.
Yeah.
There was no possible conceivable outcome where I thought this was going to happen, especially not against the Bulldogs. This is just a dream scenario for us and the girls.
Yeah, it's huge. And it's and that was half in a year. like we got 96 points. Last season in 10 games, we got 207 points. We got almost half our last year's total score in 1 week. That's massive.
That's mad.
Yeah.
What an improvement for this season, like in so many ways. But just the players on the field, you can see the amount of growth that's happened. And of course, plug it in by some extra fantastic players and Malloy, Gardner, and McAvoy and everything else. But still, Tanya Kennedy, like also coming in and just playing so much out of the middle. Like she was really, really, really great. Steen, I thought, had a great game. We'll get into some of these other players. I'm getting all excited. But I just, watching the game back, this is nuts. I don't ever imagine myself even thinking that this was a possibility. Like it wasn't in our cards, Steve-O, when we were doing the review. We were just like, meh. Like things we're gonna see how we go. We win a game or two, we'll be happy with that. Like now look at us, 96 points and smashing up the much depleted Doggies, but smashing up the Doggies nonetheless.
Yeah,
one every quarter. Yeah, which was good. First time this year ever, actually.
Crazy. I think it's also worth saying, like, the girls did play amazing. Someone told me the Dogs had 19 players that they could possibly pick for this game. So, it's a very, very depleted team. But I think we could have still very easily had just let us not get to that point, as we were discussing before. The fact that we didn't just give a mercy rule, just, kind of let them even it up, and we actually thought about percentage, and we thought about we want to play finals, because that's what it felt like to me. It felt like the game was, the girls were like, okay, we're definitely winning this, let's fix the percentage so we can potentially play finals, because it's now given them a huge boost, and it's definitely a potential at this point.
We've got 2 wins ahead of us in order to more or less guarantee our spot in the 8. That's the way that I see it. I've done the little ladder predictor, and I don't see really any way that we get through unless it's just some insane upsets. But we have to win the next 2 games, and this feels just like the men's season when we were like 5 or 6 weeks out, Steve, doing these potties, and we were just like, oh, we need to win the next 5 and the next 6 kind of thing. And out of nowhere, it started happening, and we're like, okay, maybe this is something to be working for. We can do this.
Yeah, it's tough too. Yeah. Sorry, go, Pilot.
I was to say, when we did the potty a few weeks ago and we talked about the potentially us making finals, and then we lost to Hawthorn, and I was like, that's done. There's no way we're going to make finals now, which was very similar to the men's when we lost to Richmond. I was like, that's it. We're not playing finals now. And then we came out and had this amazing win. It's the similarities between the men's season and the women's season at the moment is freaky, but it's definitely I still think we could win both those games, so it's not impossible. Yep.
No, it's not. It's definitely within our grasp. Collingwood we've got next. They're quite a team, but let's just stick to the current team, the current game that we're currently on. What did you see, Polly, from the game being so close to them, that you with your special badge and the special backyard VIP access? What did you see in the game that you really felt was worthwhile tagging out?
I wanted to shout out the goal kicking. Obviously, I pointed out that there were a lot of behinds, but 14 goals is absolutely phenomenal, and we had 9 different goal scorers across the entire game, which at the start of the season, we were very harsh on the forwards. We were saying they weren't doing their job, they weren't kicking goals, they weren't doing enough. This really showed me that they've made a massive improvement in the last 7 games to actually get there and do their jobs, because they all had a goal. There was not a single forward that didn't score a goal. And if you compare that to our previous games, the average different goal scorers was 3, and then the next highest was 5. So it just shows such an improvement as we keep going, and the areas that we were worried about them performing in, they're actually making an effort to improve on, and it's really great to see.
Yeah, I think it's scoring too, like on the back of what Polly's saying, is that a big thing that came out of this game that's been developing through this whole season really is scoring power and being able to put a score on the board. And we talked in the preseason, like the preview of the season a couple of months ago, that one thing that would really have to change for the Swans to be more competitive was hit the scoreboard, because we were averaging 20 points a game last year, which is just not a winning score, and 57 against, which is a lot against. So just this year, once we include these 8 rounds we've had, we've taken that all up to 46 points average that we've scored. So we've more than doubled our goal scoring output in 8 games, which I think is huge. And we've also brought the points against down, which is important. We've come down by about 20% there. So the ability to kick winning scores, I think, has been the big difference in the Swans this year. The defence has come down by a percentage, like I said, like about a fifth to 20%, but massive increase. And that comes from having, more experienced players, I think, who are used to playing together and getting the ball forward. And we've also got some very strong forwards in the team. And we saw the day that Chloe Malloy had against the Dogs. Like, she just pretty much playing on her own, really. She killed it. Some of the numbers, which we'll go into in a minute, were just off the charts from Chloe. And that ability to really, really bury teams when they're there to be beaten got us back in the finals race this week.
Yep. It was, we'll talk about Chloe a fair bit, but it just goes to show when you've got some depth and you can put players where they need to play. I saw a lot of new players going through the middle as well, just doing fantastic things. Like Tanya Kennedy was a person that I saw just really just putting her style of pressure on. And that was her game. It was like that kind of row bottom kind of game where if you get the ball, fantastic, do what you got to do with it. But it's like, go out there, make a tackle, put your body in the way, do what you got to do. You can run all day. Letting Malloy just go up front and just basically having the Doggies trying to find someone to tag with her. They couldn't go with anyone that I saw, Polly. I saw no one being able to go with her.
No one. Like, that was something that was really obvious to me, and we've talked about it before, that she's pretty much always the player that's tagged, and it lets Laura have a really good game. They did not have anyone to go with Chloe on Saturday. She was just absolutely having a bath. I think they tried like 3 or 4 different people on her, and no one could go with her. We'll talk about just how phenomenal she was in the Bob, but yeah, God, like, it was scary how much she can do if she's just left to her own devices and not being tagged. I think that was the really clear thing to me.
Yeah, she got touches everywhere, backline, mids, forwards. She was involved in what felt like 100% of the goals that we scored, and that in itself is a little bit of a record and a bit of a hint of where we're going to head with all of this. But it was absolutely superb. Steve-O, any particular moments in the game that you wanted to call out?
Besides Chloe Malloy's 4-quarter highlight reel of her own, there were 2 players, our 2 top draft picks from last year, actually, and I want to mention both of these because it's exciting to see them already starting to grow to be really, really important players. It's only their second season of this top level of football. One that I loved was Montana Ham in that second quarter, where she just buries her way in. She pulls the ball out of the pack, she pushes around a few, and then she kicks a goal. That was really strong. I love that because she showed us last week with that really good mark, which she didn't convert, but that really, really good mark, and just how classy she is. She showed her smarts, and then this shows the other side of her play, which is just that really, really strong ball winner that has an impact. So I really love that one. And then Sophia Hurley's party trick goal in the last quarter. She was our number 5 draft pick last year, Sophia Hurley, and she's really coming into her own this year. I think she's showing her class. She's a crazy hard worker. She tackles, and it was just nice to see her get a bit of reward on the scoreboard with a couple of goals, and especially that one when she does a little duck in and out. It was party time by that point, but still, it was nice to see her do it. Back at
mighty
skills.
Party time. Polly, any favourite moments for you, things that you saw on and off the field?
Yeah, the first thing I wanted to point out was the ruck battle, because neither team, as we'll probably get into in the MRO, had their desired ruck player this week. But I thought Lexi and Bella really, really held their own. Obviously, it was against someone, I think she might have even been her first game or first time playing in the ruck. But they really, that was my biggest concern going into the game, was that we weren't going to have that person to step up in the ruck. And I felt like they held their own, and it gave me a little bit more confidence for the rest of the season, knowing that they could step up when they need to. So that was a really great thing to see. Another really great thing I loved, there was a point in the third quarter where it was when there was a bit more momentum going the Bulldogs' way. Ellie Blackburn was off the field and they were interviewing her, which is a whole other thing I don't particularly love them interviewing them mid-game, but anyway. And they're like, all right, she was being interviewed and she said, we really just need to stop their momentum and them getting goals really quickly off like a silly mistake. And as she said that exact thing happened. They dropped the ball. Malloy picked it up. She ran down the field. She ran by herself the entire length and then kicked it to Cynthia Hamilton, and Hamilton scored the goal. It was just like so poetic. And I felt for Ellie because like obviously it was not a great game for the Bulldogs, but it was just like you couldn't even have scripted that. It was just so perfect, but it was such a perfect goal.
Poor Ellie was trying to do absolutely everything for her team. Just watching from the sideline going, oh yeah, we can't stuff up so much, and then bang.
Yep.
Exactly.
The one time she probably came off the field, the only time.
Yeah, exactly. Bloody Malloy ran the length of the field to get it going.
She was wrecked too. Like you could hear just how like she was sucking her breath in. And I agree with Polly. They're trying to play elite sport, and then you're supposed to have a chat while you actually should be just trying to recover and get your head back in the game. Like, give them a break.
Yeah, it's stupid.
I go for a casual jog, and I get someone asks me, "Oh, like, do you know the time?" And I'll like it'll be like that for a couple of minutes before I get something out, pointing at my watch. But no, like I don't know why they bother. Like, why did I do that? Just leave them alone. They do their thing. Talk to them at quarter time. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it's just distracting while you're watching the game. You're like, I'm trying to watch the game, and you have this giant thing of a different player in the corner. Like, just focus on the game. I don't care what they have to say. Ask them later.
Yeah, exactly. That we're going to ask them for tactics. Like,
yeah, like,
oh yeah, we're going to be moving the ball on the outside, short kicks. Yeah, good idea. Great stuff. That's going to happen. Well, yeah, I mean, just a little bit of ragtaggy and I did notice on the coverage that they didn't actually show the girls sing the song either. That was really disappointing too.
It didn't even, like, I obviously found out later that they did do it, but we were waiting for it to happen. It didn't even look like it happened. I don't know when it did. It might have even happened post kick to kick, because it seemed like they went straight to the shed. Like they'd signed a lot of autographs and then went straight to the sheds, and we left during kick to kick. But yeah, I don't know when it happened, because there is footage of it, but it definitely wasn't on the coverage. So
was it on the field like normal, or was it okay?
Yeah, but it didn't seem to happen when it normally happens. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, right.
I think they must have to go to another game or something.
Yeah, that's what happened to mine, because I think Adelaide-Brisbane was on straight afterwards, and pretty much as soon as it was full-time siren, they did like 2 seconds of stuff, and then they went straight over to the other one.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, thanks a lot for the game," and then they just moved on. It was bad. It was really that quick. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I think they literally said, "See you next time."
Yeah, it was something like
that. That guy's voice does my head in. I don't know. He's just got a funny voice. It's like he's trying to be other people. He's kind of putting on the voice.
Yeah.
I don't know. He seems to call it a good game, but yeah, he's always talking like this, and it's just
he needs more experience of being himself as opposed to like emulating what he's seen in the past.
Yeah, Ray Ravs Warren, this guy trying to do that.
There's only one Ray Warren.
That's a one for only the Sydney.
Yeah, that's it. Anyone outside of New South Wales, Queensland probably doesn't know who Ray Warren
idea who Ray Ravs Warren is.
He's like the Bruce McAvaney of NRL commentary.
Yeah, but just with so much
but
character.
Not even.
Oh, the fantastic kid over there by that man. Kind of
maybe Comedy. Dennis Comedy is probably a better comparison for Ray Warren.
Yeah, Comedy is the comparison. Yeah. I did call it a good game, all Ravs, but yeah.
I love Ray Warren. He was entertaining. Yeah.
He was. Yeah. And now we've got Gus. Oh, let's talk about anything else. We're talking about the rock sport. One thing though, what I noticed that the Sherrans were gonna they're all painted beautifully in the Marn Grook colours with I don't know who designed them, but they look fantastic. But they didn't have them for last week's game. They were late with bringing them to the games, so they only had them for this week because Marn Grook was over 2 different weeks. I don't know what's going on there.
I wonder if they didn't send them to Sydney early enough. I know that's
it's just like oh well.
I don't know. Yeah, that is odd. I don't know why they did that, or if it was just unintentional and they just messed up potentially. I don't know, but don't know. Very bad look. Bad look when you're trying to make it a big marquee thing and then you don't have the full potential that you're trying to achieve in both rounds, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I would love to know, because Noddy, our podcasting brother, he loves a good conspiracy. No one else that loves a conspiracy more than
Here
Noddy.
we go.
No, I haven't got
What do
one.
you got? Oh, you haven't got one.
I'm saying I would love to hear him come up with one, because I think there's got to be something there. Hang on, let me text him. Talk amongst yourselves. Let's see what he says.
Oh, man.
It was an incredible round across the board with these balls. I don't know if I'm not sure if there were any games last week, but I don't know. Maybe teams played better when they have the painted balls. Maybe there's something in that, and they didn't want to disadvantage any teams.
So because I didn't even notice this. So was it that last week they did have the balls and this week they didn't?
No, other way.
Other way around.
Last week they didn't have the balls, and then this week they did. So that's why I'm saying maybe they just didn't ship them early enough, so they couldn't get to Sydney.
Yeah,
or
right.
maybe the production just took longer than they expected, or maybe, I don't know. But I also don't know if it happened for every game, or if it was just our game that missed out on using them last round.
I was watching on my
Something
phone.
fishy
It's
is in the
tiny.
air.
I wouldn't have seen it anyway. I just see a little red dot pinging around on the grass on my phone.
It's pretty cool.
You couldn't tell at the game either.
Yeah. I think you could only tell. And the only reason I know is because during the week, Chloe Malloy was on the W show, so the AFLW websites show with Nat Edwards and Gemma, I forgot her name.
Bastiani.
Maybe, yes.
Yeah, Gemma Bastiani.
Bastiani, thank you. Yep, Sparkus. I've been practicing that one. I need a new one to practice now.
That was spot on, man. That's good.
Thank you. I've been practicing. No, I haven't. But I just.
So when we play Eston in the finals, he's getting ready. So he's gonna have to say.
That's right. The other Prosparkus. Oh, I almost stuffed it up that time. Look at me go. Yeah. So I've messaged Noddy. Let's see what he comes back with. If he comes back in time with a conspiracy theory, so let's see where that ends up. Well, let's get stuck into the A Bob medal, which is the equivalent of the Bob Skilton medal. We give 3, 2, 1 points out to the best Swans players. And this week, in typical Bob fashion, we made something up at the last second. Steve-O, tell us, what do the girls win for this week?
Oh, this week we've got an absolute treat, and it's a group prize, actually. It's going out to the best 8 of the week because there's this great little Indonesian restaurant in Turku where I live in Finland that if you have a group of 8 or more, they will do like a custom-made laksa with chicken and prawns and everything. It's amazing, like Singaporean-style laksa. And I just came back because I was it's lunchtime here. It's middle of the day, so I just came back from lunch there, and it was amazing. So I've got this like happy glow from Pavon Lau's laksa, and we're going to invite the best 8 this week because we need 8, and I guess anyone else is welcome to join. There's no limit to the capacity, but 8 of the players are going to come and get a laksa meal one lunchtime. Maybe not in season, but
that's a post-season prize. It cannot be redeemed during season.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I will also point out
it's amazing.
that the budget for Bob is not quite as thick as perhaps we're suggesting it is. So we've also suggested in the past when Steve-O's wanted some of the players to turn up that they had to pay their own way, which is fine for the men's. They're getting paid, 200 plus or whatever, and some of them much more than that. So they have to pay their own way. That's fine. You got to do what you got to do. For the women's, it's a bit tougher. So what I think we're going to have to do here is we're going to try to have to build this experience in the aggregate. So we're going to get them all into a McDonald's freezer, one of those big industrial freezers, and we're going to serve them a laksa inside this freezer while talking gibberish at them in some form of Finnish way.
Gibberish.
Are we okay with this? This is the best we can do, guys, with the budget.
The laksa won't be very nice if it's really cold in the room, but sure. Yeah.
Okay. Polly, what do you think?
Look, I don't know. I've never been to Finland, but Steve-O, maybe you can confirm, is it really cold in the restaurant?
Oh. No, in the restaurant it's nice. It's like it's room temperature. So it's a balmy 22.
So what we do instead is we put them in the freezer, make them stay there for a bit as if they're in transit, take them out of the freezer.
That's right.
Then give them the laksa.
That works.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We could do that. That's look, either way, the same. That sounds like the budget is within budget. I'm happy with this adjustment. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So the girls win a freezer trip and a laksa here in Sydney, pretending it's in Finland, and we'll play some like Elvish music over the top.
I got another idea.
Yeah.
Post ice bath, Laksa.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's legit.
Yeah, okay. And we served them the laksa in a sauna afterwards, right?
Yes.
That's Finnish. Steve-O?
Sure.
Awesome. So we've come to an agreement that we're going to let them have a nice bath, and then they're going to jump out into a sauna, and then we're going to serve them a laksa.
None of them are going to want to play
gone
well
off
ever
the
again.
rails.
You'll see a record amount of transfers happening out of Sydney within the next season. That would be.
Which is why we're going to lose next week. Everyone's going to play shit because they don't want to play right.
For some reason, my stomach hurts. My fucking legs are cramped. This weird shit that these people made me do. Anyway, that's what we're going. So let's get on with the prize. 3 points for the bronze medal to, of course, Captain Chloe Malloy. 2 points for our regular Laura Gardner, and 1 point to young, up-and-coming beast of a girl, Sophia Hurley. Fantastic. 1, 2, 3 for those three. Chloe Malloy, Steve-O, do you want to take it away with Chloe?
Oh, it's a long list of achievements for Chloe this week, so bear with me. Listen to this. This is a stat line. 28 touches, 11 marks, 9 inside 50s, 17 score involvements, 3 goals, 4 behinds, plus 1 that sort of didn't make the distance or went out on the full, I can't remember. 2 goal assists, and she broke the league record for score involvements, and she was like the boss of the team of the week. That's just her stats. I mean, it doesn't say anything about her impact, which was also massive. Like, she just dominated. It was one of the most dominant games of football I've seen by anyone this year, really. It was a huge effort.
Yeah. Polly, what do you think? You saw it firsthand, the power of Malloy?
I did see it firsthand. I've already started calling myself the number one Chloe Malloy fan. And I did start calling myself that last year, so, you know, it's going to take a lot to take that title off me. But she was just incredible. Like, you could look anywhere on the ground and it felt like she was there. I feel like we had 3 of her at some points. Like, she was just so domineering and demanding, but still did all those little captain-y things. Like, when someone went down, she went and made sure that they were okay. When, you know, the ball was needing to be moved, she found a way to tell people how to get into position. Like, she just can do everything. And she's just probably one of the best footballers that the club has ever picked up. I'm going to say it now.
Yep. No, I don't. I mean, I haven't seen anyone dominate a field like that, men's and women's, for a long time, like that. Like, not that much.
It was old school.
Yeah.
And playing like half forward for a lot of the time. Like, she got 28 touches, mostly playing across half forward. Okay, the ball was up there a lot, but still, like, you just don't see that.
But it also wasn't. Like, there was a pretty decent spread. Like, yeah. She's too good.
She's too good. She's too good.
She killed it.
She's a captain, and she's doing all the captain things, as you said. She was trying to give away goals. I mean, just kick it. Like, just go for it. She's giving away.
She was like, I've already had 3. I just pass it off.
I know. We wanted to get a hungy. But anyway, like, yeah, she just gave goals away, and she did all the right things. She shepherded, she tackled, she put pressure on, she ran hard everywhere. It was perfect. Perfect game of football.
What was it? So, 17 score involvements. How many scoring shots did the Swans have? Let's do a quick count. I've got to get back up to here. 26. So out of 26 scoring shots, she had a hand in 17 of them. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's a big number.
That record is not going to be broken for quite some time, I think. I think that's going to be for a while.
But do you know who held the record before her?
Oh, I did.
Yeah, our own.
I can't remember.
Brooke Lachlan.
That's right, yeah.
14, I think.
Yeah. Oh, 12. I thought it was 12.
Okay,
yeah.
There you go. Yeah. But she ended up, I think she kicked like 7 goals or something that day as well. So pretty dominant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, wild, like massive game. And a captain's game, as you said there, Polly. So perfect. All right. 2 points for Laura Gardner, regular on the bob, running away with this medal. Polly, talk to us all about Laura Gardner. Teach us her ways.
I wish I could. Actually, no, I don't, because then someone else could replicate it, but I don't think it's replicable. She's probably unlucky to not get 3 votes just because Chloe had such a massive game, because her game was still incredibly massive. Her way of getting the ball out of the middle and from the bounce especially was something I just kept noticing her doing. She would get the ball and find a way to get it into our forward 50. She had Oh, no, it doesn't say here. She was just incredible. 33 disposals, which was the most in the game. But she's also leading the league just across the board. So she's currently third in disposals and inside 50s. She's fourth for total fantasy points and fifth for tackles. That's across the league. So, she's just a phenomenal player. And again, I think she's 21. So it's just insane to think of how good of a player she can become if she's already playing like this. Like, just can't speak highly enough of her.
She's on her way to wrap up a McGurkin player of the season. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sneaky. I'm telling you, sneaky for this year. But
yeah.
Damn it, Chloe, she's cost her votes. So.
God damn it, Chloe. Selfish. Yeah, true. I mean, it's just once again, we say it every week. We didn't expect her to. We didn't expect it. The best thing that I saw her doing was that lateral movement, left to right. Like she would find herself one person in front, evaded a tackle, did a little loop around, found space, and then got the ball going forward every single time. She did that so often they just couldn't get a hand on her. So it seemed like she's only added that in the last week. So another tool to her disposal. Like, why not?
Yeah, she's really clean, hey? And because she's so clean, she's able to bring other players into the game more effectively than if there was like a little fumble or indecision. Like, she gets it and she just gives it, and most of the time she's putting a player into a better position than what she's in. It's like she's not just getting it in the center and doing hat kick. I think she scans really nicely. She's an absolute find, eh? Like, you think that that Geelong, I mean, we did trade a high draft pick for her, but it was a different type of draft this year. But I think Geelong must be thinking, damn, like, why did we give her up?
Yeah, I think one of the commentary team is a player from Geelong, and she was like, everything that she's doing doesn't surprise me. So clearly the girls that played with her had an idea that she has this potential to be this good, but they just didn't, maybe the coaches didn't see it, or they just couldn't entice her enough to stay, but honestly, so glad that they couldn't, because she's just such a good inclusion to this team.
Yeah, and it can be opportunity, hey, like, I mean, Geelong's got, they're a far more established team than the Swans were last year. They've got some really good midfielders, but now she's come into the Swans and she's like the one in the midfield who's in there to get the ball out and put players into scoring positions and into like runners coming off her and stuff. So maybe it's just that opportunity. You know, people just grow into a role if you give it to them, because she's been so good.
It's just interesting how it's such an effort to get a player from the Victorian teams to bring them up to Sydney. You know, they have to uproot them themselves. It's not, we've spoken about it before, it's not an easy thing, and we've managed to be able to get that going on for a few players. And it may be that there's just room on our field that we had, so she would easily get game time, and she came up for that. And not only is she getting game time, she's also dominating the league in all these different stats and on her way to win McGurkin. So pretty special stuff going on there with Gardner. Okay, Steve-O, your absolute favourite, Sophia Hurley, continually just friggin' dominating, getting better every single week, 18 games in, and just looking super special. What do you think?
Yeah, and she's just so unassuming. Like, she just gets it done, right? She's not one of those players who you sort of, that necessarily has a huge amount of standout moments on the ground, but then every single time she needs to do something, she's in a good position, she does the right thing with the ball, and she finishes cleaner. Like I was talking about that late goal she got, that little sort of shimmy inside out one, and that shows what her skill level is, but she also knows how to play to what is needed, I think, which is really important. And she tackles like crazy too. She had 8 tackles. That's the same as Laura Gardner, in the same game. She got a couple of goals this week, which is nice, 24 touches. She was a Rising Star nomination this week. Like, I think her ceiling is really high. She can be an absolute dominant player in the competition in the next couple of years.
Yep. She looks angry.
She's so good that I forget how young she is. Like, the fact that she was available for Rising Star freaked me out, because I forgot she's that young, that she's that inexperienced. And in the AFLW they nominate 2, and her stats compared to the other nomination was just even exponentially better. Like, it's just crazy how good she is, and it's crazy that it's taken her this long to get a nomination, to be honest. But still, she's just absolutely killing it.
Yeah, Yeah, she's fancy. So Chloe Molloy 3 points, Laura Gardner 2 points, Sophia Hurley for the 1 point. Any honourable mentions for either of you two?
I thought Beck was really good again. She's had just solid week after solid week recently, really galvanising that forward line. That over the head goal, our very first goal over the head was just awesome. Amazing.
Snap
so good.
Behind, over the head, backwards. Yeah.
And she knows how to take a mark. We've talked about this before. She's really solid, sticky hands, that girl. She can take a mark really easily, and every week I'm just really enjoying watching her and what other fancy footwork she can do, really.
What about Ruby Sargent-Wilson stealing her goal in the third quarter, I think?
We couldn't figure out if it was going to hit the post.
I think
or
she
if
had
it was,
to do that.
Yeah, I was like, God.
If you're not sure you mark it, I think, unless you're certain it's going through, you got to take the mark, surely. I think.
Well, it was rolling through, but I think there was there was a Doggies player coming through at speed, so I think she did the right thing. But do you think that there's some kind of does like Sargent-Wilson have to buy like coffee or something? What's the protocol here when you steal a goal from someone?
Was that her first goal as well?
I think it was.
Yeah.
In that case, I think if I was on that team, if I had given the opportunity to give someone their first goal, I'd probably just be like, we're even, it's fine. If it was like your teammate that you've played with forever who's scored 1 million goals, maybe you'd be a bit salty and be like, yeah, we're getting a coffee after this, or, you got to do an extra lap of training or something. Yeah. But I think, to get a player their first goal, I think you kind of just let it go.
All right, well, you're a better person to be.
Yeah.
If it's a player who's got a reputation in the team of being a bit too hungry, then you're annoyed. But if it's a player who you'd think is not that kind of player, then who cares?
I was sitting with my friend Annie, and we were both kind of like, oh, what happened there? And then Beck ran straight over to her. So like, okay, everyone's happy, so it's fine.
She ran over to her and started throwing punches immediately.
What are you doing?
Why did I steal my goals? Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, look, it was... So last season, I think Rebecca Privatelli was our number one goal scorer, and I think with the 9 from memory.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, every one of them counts, but to see her sharing them around amongst everything else is pretty good. We'll take it. Steve-O, any for you, mate? Any honourable mentions?
I'll take Lachlan, the other forward. Again, on the goal assisting, because her and Beck Privatelli, I mean, they played sort of support roles to some of the other ones who got more goals this week, like Chloe Molloy, she was dominant, she got 3, and then who else? Cynthia Hamilton got a couple, and Sophia Hurley also got a couple. So these two, I think, played really, really good team roles in the forward line. And between them, we had 12 goals, and they accounted for 5 goal assists out of 12 goals, which and they kicked a goal each themselves also. So I really liked the way that they operated, like as a forward unit this week, rather than necessarily as individual forwards. And we got Newman hopefully coming back next week. So we've got some really good forwards who I think are good at playing roles. And
it's great to see Beck came back really strong after an injury, because she just came back from the MCL injury, her first game back, and she's actually really just gone out swinging and didn't seem to have any issues. So that was really good to see, because that was something I was worried that the Swans might have been doing, was pushing girls too early post injury, but it seems they're actually taking their time and waiting for them to be right themselves. So yeah, it's really great to see Brooke be dominant and have a great game.
Yep, perfect. I see Brenda Tarrant here as another name in the list. My girl. I thought she had another exemplary. Let me say exemplary. Exemplary. No.
Really good. She was really good.
She had a great game.
She had a great game.
Rising Star. Not Rising Star. Team of the Week nomination as well in the back line there. So good for her. I think that's her first too, from memory. So I can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't think she's made Team of the Week yet.
So yeah, pretty special
really
for
great
her.
For her.
Well, 16 disposals, 10 intercepts, and Team of the Week. Why not? That's not a bad little shout. Yeah.
If you think about that forward line wasn't doing much. The Bulldogs forward line wasn't doing much. So she was to be able to do that much when they weren't doing much is great to see.
Yeah.
She was a wall down there. Ella Heads was good in the back as well, both of them.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Any other names to throw into the mix?
We've got to round out the 8 for the dinner party, don't we? We got Chloe Malloy, Laura Gardner, Sophia Hurley. They get to sit like on the special section of the table, I guess, like up the front.
They get served first.
Yeah, that's it. They'll get served first. But then the other ones,
that's the budget allows for them to get entrees. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Privatelli, Lachlan, and Tarrant. We've already got 3 of them, and then I guess the other 2 was Montana Ham and Cynthia Hamilton. Both had really, really strong games. They get a Luxor meal as well.
Okay, cool. So 8 Luxors. Hang on, are we invited to this party, by the way? I don't know
we have to facilitate them getting in and, making sure they go everywhere. So if we don't get food, that's a bit hard.
We don't get anything. We just got to drive them around and get the ice going. Okay.
Yeah, no, the chef here, she'll make like enough for like a dozen. We can bring the whole team if they want, but these are the ones that we pay for. That's the difference.
Okay.
They're on the company tab.
Yeah. Look, that does bring us to the end of that game. It was, like we said earlier in the potty, it was an unbelievable game for our finals chances. And the fact that, and Polly, I'm going to hold you to this, we said if the girls make finals, we're getting tattoos.
Honestly, last week after that loss, I was like, sick. I got out of getting a tattoo.
Now the tattoos are on their way with that big win. So that makes us 4 wins, 4 losses from the 8 games, moved us from 12th to 10th place on our way up to the top 8. Last week, we were 79.8%, and now we are 97%. So massive jump up in percentage. 2 spots up in the ladder, and if we win the next 2 games, it actively does mean, am I right here, to say that we are going to play finals?
If results go as expected, I've done about 20 different versions of that ladder predictor thing, and there are a few scenarios where I think we can win both and just miss out, but it's unlikely. Like some really weird results would have to happen.
Yeah. Well, as we said, next week we've got the big game. I think they're both going to be hard games to play. One's going to be Collingwood at home, which is next Sunday, this coming Sunday rather. And then the next week is going to be against Freo in Freo. So that in itself is traveling all the way to WA to play in that other continent is going to be interesting. So the Pies for this Sunday, let's put a bit of focus around them at Henson Park, the home of the AFLW. They are coming 6th with 5 wins, but of those 5 wins, the last 4 in a row have been Cats, Carlton, Brisbane's and Bombers. All of those teams, pretty decent teams. The Bombers being one of the newer teams in the group there, but playing really well and doing great for themselves. So the Cats are, the Pies are having a really, really great run for this season. Started off a little slow, but just taken off. So we played against them last year in round 2 and lost by 31 points. Of course, last season was not indicative of anything really, just kind of getting the run out there. So, but I guess that does put a little bit of fire under the belly, maybe, Polly. What do you think? Is that something that we should be pushing the girls that don't get beaten by no one?
Yeah, I think they definitely will want to beat the Pies. There's so much gearing up to this game. Chloe Malloy's playing her old team for the first time, which is going to be huge. I think that they'll probably want to start a little bit of a rivalry with them. I don't know how stoked they were about losing her, and they probably kind of themselves trying to prove that they're actually decent without her, which is always sad, but it is all in good rivalry. It's really hard to say because the girls haven't been that great at Henson Park, so I don't know how much of a home field advantage we're actually getting playing at home. I think it would have been the same outcome if we play at Icon Park. I can't think of the Collingwood home ground, but it'll be interesting to see. I'm not too sure how it's going to shape out. But again, I feel like that about every game, so...
Yeah, I mean, we have played the West Coast game at home at Henson didn't go our way. It did go our way, but seemed like it was a bit of a struggle. It was a tighter game than it arguably should have been. Hawks, of course, at Henson Park. We lost that game. So to come back to Henson Park, we want it to be a fortress. There's no excuses for it not being a fortress. We get apparently, in quotations, 4,500 people to turn up there, which is bollocks. There's a lot more than that. And we can just we can scrape this win out. And I reckon it's going to be a really good crowd. The Collingwood supporters, they come out in droves.
They turn up. They travel.
They travel. They turn up, and I reckon
a lot live local
crack.
Too. A lot live in Sydney.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they live everywhere, right? Like I was saying.
Yeah, it's a big club.
Not too far from any. Yeah. So he's hoping. So if anyone is out there, make sure you get to the game. It's going to be an absolute belter of a game. It's going to be a lot of people there. Sunday afternoon, can't go wrong. You're not doing anything on Sunday afternoon, so just don't pretend you are. Come to the footy. It's going to be great. MRO injuries. Steve-O, do you want to have a look at those? What have we got going on there?
Paris Shepherd, we had a concussion go down, so miss out next week. And unfortunately, Ali Morfitt is out for the rest of, at least they've said she's out for the rest of the regular season. They didn't say for certain if she'd be back, but it was a hand injury from the previous week's game. And so she of course didn't play against the Bulldogs, but doesn't need surgery, which is good. It's a massive out for us, especially against one of these stronger teams. They were able to carry the ruck and manage against the Dogs, who didn't have a recognised ruck really, or like a rookie coming in. But against Collingwood, it's a totally different thing, and that presence that Ali gives in the centre will be missed against Collingwood and also against Fremantle in 2 weeks. But the team just needs to readjust and figure out ways to still win the football without a dominant player in the middle of the ground and all that extra work that Ali does. On a plus side, we should get Newman back next week in the forward line, and the forward line was functioning really well this week, so she should be a good inclusion into the forwards. That's about it for health injuries.
On the Paris Shepherd tackle, we found out today that there was they got off without any suspension for the tackle, but Paris did go off with HIA and is sitting out for concussion. Did you see the video of the tackle, and what was your take on it, Polly?
Yeah, so I think the main reason it went to tribunal is just purely because Paris did sustain that concussion. I think if she was fine, it wouldn't have gone, because I think it was fine, honestly. The thing that annoyed me more was that and I could be wrong because it was hard to tell in the coverage, but this is what it looked like at the ground. Chloe Molloy ran over to check if she was okay, and that considered a 50-metre penalty. Now, I don't think that's fine. That really upset me, because it's how can you give a 50-metre penalty away for someone checking on their own player? That was rough. The actual tackle itself, I didn't have a problem with. That umpiring decision, really didn't like. So that's my 2 cents.
Steve, did you see the tackle?
Yeah, they replayed it ad nauseum on the coverage. I thought it was fine. If that's a suspendable tackle, then I'm not sure what players can do to tackle. Really, it was borderline for sure. And the player, Paris, she hit her head, she got concussed, she'll miss next week. But it was a tackle that was totally within the laws and the spirit of playing football. So I'm glad that she didn't get suspended for it, to be honest.
Yeah, you're both. I agree with both of you. You both said it perfectly. All right, so there's that. We got some replacements to talk about. In that case, so Paris is going to be out. Newman comes back in. Ali's out for the season, but as Polly was saying, the rucks kind of sorted themselves out a little bit better. Or at least we had some competitiveness in the ruck without having to compete too hard, without them having a proper ruck girl as well. But do we see any other movements in the team going on? One thing that I noticed with Julie O'Sullivan, I liked her in the team. I liked the little kicks that she did laterally. I felt that she felt really natural. The short kicks, the movement around, knowing where the person was, her ability to grab the ball from the ground and from within pressure was awesome. I don't know. I don't see any changes to the team that I'd want to put in.
Yeah, Newman in probably. If she's fit, that'd be probably the only one.
Yeah, the news about Newman today was she was part of a scrimmage match this week and she seemed good. Wasn't very clear why she didn't play last week. She was supposed to be available. So I'll reiterate, very sad that the Guernsey she designed, she never got to wear it.
Yeah.
But she should be back this week. So
I wonder if they held it back just because they had a feeling that the Bulldogs was going to be a less strenuous run, and maybe they just thought she could use a bit more. I don't know.
Time on. I thought, though, just one thing that I'm pretty confident with this, that the AFLW, the girls can nominate any of the jerseys they want to wear. So if they want to wear the Pride or the Bungrook or the away or the home jersey,
yes,
they can.
So I don't think it's the girls. I think it's the club. The club is allowed to nominate whatever they want to wear per round because previously I think Brisbane, maybe, I can't remember, wore their Indigenous jersey as their Essendon are wearing their Indigenous kit as their away kit. So when they were at the Clash, they've been wearing that. So the club is allowed to nominate whenever they want. The issue we have now is the next 2 games are Pride round. So even if we wanted to wear it, which we could on in the last round because it's not at home, you would be then competing with the Pride jersey. So unfortunately, the way that the season's timed out, it doesn't really. We couldn't really do it, but if we had a free round, I don't know, they should have. It would have been great for them to do it for her, but yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
We can wear it.
Finals.
Yeah,
Wear
it for the finals first week, and when we're sitting there with tattoos, that'd be fantastic. Can't wait.
Glad I didn't get in on that little bit.
Is there still time, you jump in?
Oh man,
I know exactly what it's going to be. I can't wait.
Okay, Chris has thought about it a lot more than I have.
Okay, so Noddy and I actually have the same thing. With next premiership we win, we're getting the tattoo. So we've already gone through that. So the bar is set a bit lower for the girls right now. It's just like getting to finals, which I feel in itself is a bit of a grand final. So
yeah, getting to your final in your second year is pretty significant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be great. So, yeah, let's see where we go. I've never had a tattoo before. This is going to be pretty interesting.
Me neither.
Yeah,
neither have I, and I'm not getting on board.
Boo. Yeah, let's see. There's still time to convince him. Collingwood do have some cracking players, by the way. So Michaela Can in the team of the week, Sabrina Verpriga, team of the week, and Jordan Ali, team of the week for defense. That's a mid, a defender, and interchange, all team of the week from Collingwood in their win over the Cats by 6 points. The Cats had a chance to win it. Prasparkas, I think, kicked 2 behind in that last quarter. See, Prasparkas, bang, there I go. Kicked 2 behinds in that last quarter. She had the opportunity to win the game for them. But, at least tie the game up and go from there. So the Pies, even without Malloy, are very, very dangerous. And what are we going to do about this? Is any matchups or style of play that we need to be careful of the way we play the Pies?
I think have a plan for if the Collingwood players do manage to get into Chloe Malloy's head and take her out of the game, have a plan to move the ball effectively without needing to rely on her to break the game open. I think that would be the number one for me. And the even spread in the forward line is important for that. I think Laura Gardner makes it really, really good in the middle because you've got her. But we can't be assuming that we're going to get another 24 touches, 3 goals, 4 out of Chloe, especially against this level of opposition that knows her play backwards.
Yep. It's probably going to be like a 7 disposal game from her, just the way how hard they're going to tackle it.
I think it's going to be a 3-person tag, to be honest. Which, I think we've kind of dealt with before. I think it was the Port game she was really, really being tagged by 2 players constantly. Or maybe Geelong?
Yeah, they went. There was a couple in a row. It was the Port one, and then
Brisbane,
I think it was the one before that.
What was the one before?
Put a lot of work into her.
Was it West Coast?
Was it the Carlton game? I can't
Carlton.
remember.
Oh, Carlton. Yes, it was the Carlton game. I was like, it was definitely a blue team. All the blue teams in my head. They put a double tag on her pretty much the entire game, and that game still got really, really close. Obviously, we lost by a couple goals in the end, but we've shown that we can still play really well if she has been taken out of the game, and I really think that that's what they're going to do. So they just need to be able to rely on these other girls, and I think that they will. It might be this chance that McAvoy's been looking for to come more in the middle. Because we've talked about this a bit, and Gowans has talked about how he wants to bring it more forward. Maybe that's his chance. Like, we know Bree can really hold her own back there now. Let them follow Malloy around, and McAvoy can kind of do her thing with Gardner. That's potentially something that we could look at doing, and I think would work quite well.
Yeah, especially with Ali Morfitt not in that middle. Like, another strong body in there would be helpful, I think, against Collingwood. They got some good
bigger body. That's one thing about the mids that we do have is like they're super sharp. There's no doubt about it. They work unbelievably hard to get to the footy, and that's also some of the benefits that we have getting numbers around it. But the bodies are small, and I think that's the one thing that would probably be holding us back because they're just so young. We're such a young team in there too. So
it could be another
McAvoy.
Really good game for Ham, because she's obviously one of our bigger girls. She's built bigger than most of the girls, so I think if she can get around the ball, she did it a lot against Western Bulldogs. It was kind of like her first game really back in terms of showing herself and her skills, so I think she's going to step it up a notch this week and have a big one, and I think really get in there and help out.
She's been building well too. Last month, really, since she's come back to the team from that injury, she's been like every week. She's just been adding a little bit extra, and she looks like she's ready to go.
Can't wait. She's going to take off that other jumbo jet. All right, we're getting into one last thing. Look, we had a big spill last week about how the AFLW was effectively being told, or the fans were being told, hey, you know what, you need to increase your attendance by some unbelievable amount in order for us to warrant or allow you to see more football for next year. And with that, Steve-O, you did a bit of homework about how the other women's leagues around the country are treating this and what their numbers are.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the ones, like the big four football codes in Australia. So like soccer, like football, soccer, NRL, AFL, and then Super Women's Rugby, because they're the four that compare roughly, that have been establishing women's leagues in the last, decade and a half, if you go back far enough. And the numbers just sounded really high, like to be demanding that sort of crowd. So I went and checked what the average attendances are for these other competitions, and also the style of competitions that they have on the back of these numbers. So the A-League, which has been going for 16 years now, they play a 25-week season with 12 teams, and every team plays every other team twice throughout the season. Their average attendance is 1,249 from their last complete season. That's half what the NRL has, which is 2,819. The NRL is much newer, only 6 years. They play a short season, only 10 teams, but every team plays every other team. The Super Women's Rugby is a bit hard to compare. We don't have crowd numbers from that. I couldn't find anything anywhere. They've only got 6 teams in their comp, so that's not the best comparison really for us anyway. But then the AFLW is almost equal with the NRL, only 200, not even 150 average less crowd than the NRL women's, and is playing a similar length season with almost double the amount of teams, where you only play 60% of the team. So if the AFL is saying that the AFLW needs to have 3,500 on average per week, they want them to have almost 3 times what the A-League women's have, and they want them to have considerably more than what the NRL women's have. So I don't know where these numbers are coming from.
And what's the basis of these numbers? What kind of homework have they done to suggest that this is the number we want to hit? And if they are suggesting those are the numbers we want to hit, it's their own KPIs that they're failing, not ours. So what the fuck are they talking about?
And just like lack of integrity in the competition. Like all of those three, the A-League women's are playing each other twice, and the 2 rugby codes are playing each other once, albeit with smaller competition fields. And then the AFL women you play only 6 out of 10, so 60% of the teams. It's ridiculous.
Something else to consider with those numbers is all of those leagues play at the same time as their counterpart men's competition.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of double headers that are included. I don't know how they do the numbers, so maybe they figure out a way to not include double headers, I'm not sure. But there are double headers definitely within those seasons that people are coming to the game, the women's game, they're coming to the men's game and coming early for the women's game, or staying back for the women's game, or whatever. So there's also needs to be taken a grain of salt there that there are people potentially coming that are just staying or not coming. That's not the main reason. The AFLW have no double headers with the men's. It doesn't it just doesn't exist. So people are only coming for that match, which I would think would make it even harder to get a good crowd. I could be wrong. People, there are definitely people that just want to see AFLW, but there are people that would probably go to a doubleheader, for example.
Yeah. I think part of the reason and some of the success that the Swans do is understanding their market really well, understanding Sydney-siders pretty well. So we're not just reliant. I think for some of the other teams, they're reliant on members going. And then, like as Polly's alluding to, the men's season is finished. As we spoke about last week, people's brains, after all these years, they've been geared to stop thinking about football. But there's still football being played, and it's good quality football. So they just need to start. They need to build that on. But at the moment, it kind of feels like they're relying on those fans just to go to a footy because that's your team. You have to go to watch your team. Whereas Sydney is actually doing things in areas to entice people to go to the game that maybe don't necessarily always go to a game. Mm-hmm. So definitely for the Henson Park audience, there's an enormous aspect, I reckon, of people that go. Even like friends and family of mine, friends of Polly's, that wouldn't traditionally go to the men's game but will go to the women's game because the timing kind of works out. It's in the area. They make it fun. There's food stores, there's beer stores. They make an event of it and they get the audience to go. So I think, I genuinely think they're leaving it to the clubs and maybe that is a good thing, but maybe not all clubs actually give much of a shit about it either. And I think that's where the AFL themselves, headquarters themselves, need to start putting pressure on the clubs to do a bit better.
So I think a good point of comparison for the Swans, as always, is the Giants. Mm-hmm. And the Giants actually played their game at Henson Park last week. And I think their crowd was 1,000 compared to the Swans' 4,500, which shows that I feel like the Giants, it is a club-based thing and the Giants aren't doing their part into actually getting people to go to the game because clearly the desire is there to want to see games at Henson Park, but maybe not the Giants. I don't know. Like it or was it not advertised properly and things like that. Like there's just too much reliance on the clubs to actually do it as opposed to the league itself. And I think advertising tickets should come down more to the league than the clubs. But that's just my personal opinion. There's a big if you want to make this a KPI. If you don't want to make it a KPI, leave it up to the clubs. That's fine. But if you want to make it a KPI, then it's your job as a league to make sure that these KPIs are being hit.
Yeah.
And it says something when, what was it, you said like 4,500 people at least on paper are turning up to a Henson game with the Swans and it's 1,000 with the Giants. That is such a massive difference that it's not the football people are going for, is it? It's not just because they want to see footy, it's something else. And it's also because the Swans brand is so much stronger in Sydney. The AFL has never understood this, really, ever since they moved the Giants there over a decade ago. They don't understand that people in Sydney think of the Swans, and that's what people follow, and they're making the same mistakes again. And the Giants are getting shafted. It's always them getting shafted,
Yeah, and I would even say generic AFL fans probably didn't know that the Giants were playing at Henson Park over the weekend because it wasn't advertised. And I would, and if I wasn't in Melbourne, I probably would have gone. But
Yep, exactly. If I was in Sydney, I would have gone because it's extra football. But we're special cases. We're diehard fans.
and I put this point out on Twitter during the week that putting KPIs on attendance numbers is not going to allow you to have casual fans. And casual fans is what make footy. You're not only ever just going to have diehard fans like the three of us. We are special cases. We will go to every game. You shouldn't have to expect your fans to go to every game. I feel like that's quite disrespectful in a way to build a club. To build a league, sorry. And
it's time, it's cost.
To have
it's
your
a lot
casual
of stuff.
Fans.
People have other shit to do in their lives,
Yeah.
Now,
especially the time slots that they are at.
I was talking to someone today about it, like how the old joke in the traditional Swans fan, back in the day was, Friday night the Swans were playing. They were like, let's go. They'll buy a Swans a scarf on the way through, put that on, and they're a Swans fan, and they watch the game. And that was the old joke that Swans didn't have any fans. They had finance bros who finished work on time and then went off and watched the game.
Something to do.
and that is legitimately an understanding of what the market is as well. But you can build a brand from that. You can build a following. You can build a club from that. And the Swans are doing a great job of that, even from the women's. Not everyone's going to be doing that. So it's lazy. It's lazy to suggest a KPI and that you created and you failed at it, and to blame the fans for their problems. So typical McGurkin stuff. All right. We do have some good news to finish up on, though. Polly, the McClellan Trophy. Take it away.
Yes.
What is it? What is it all about? What have we done?
Yeah, we haven't really talked about it much. But the McClellan, I think that's how it's pronounced, trophy is an actual combined men's women's competition trophy, and it is awarded to the club that has the best overall season across the two leagues. There is double points awarded for women's games because there are less of them, and the winner wins $1 million for their club, and then I think there's some prize money divided out between the rest of the top 8. And for the first time since its inception, we have cracked the top 8, which is incredibly exciting. Now, I don't know how much money that means we would win if we did finish 8th, but it's incredible to see. It's incredible to see, like, the work that is happening across the club is, being noticed, and we're coming 8th now, which is incredible. And I think I was, like, half paying attention to it throughout the season because it's kind of interesting. It's a kind of interesting concept. But, we were coming, like, 14th for most of it, and just the girls chipping away and getting better has meant we've put ourselves in a really good position now. So it'd be really interesting to see how we go next season, for sure.
Yep. I like this kind of thing. Like, I know people were poo-pooing it at the beginning, but I like it. I think it actually, if one angle of the whole game is like to make sure that fans of the club are going to club games and supporting both teams, something like this does make a bit of sense in promoting this. The fact that we only heard about it now is annoying, but this is something like, I know it's been around for a while, but it's not made a lot of noise, and that's probably because the Swans have never been factored into it. But I like this. I think it's a good idea to kind of promote this, to be like, hey, your club as a whole needs to do well, and this is where it comes into it.
And it's going to be interesting coming into the last round. I can't remember what the exact situation has to be, but there is a chance that, because Melbourne and Brisbane are playing each other in the last round, that game will decide the trophy. So that game is going to be $1 million game, basically. So it's a really, like, cool addition to two separate leagues, to bring them together and be like, you need to look after both your clubs, both your teams. If one team's doing shit, you're not going to get money. So
if you're a borderline AFL player for Brisbane, and you're going to the girls, come on, girls, there's $1 million bucks up for grabs. Let's go.
Yeah. Or if you're like, there are plenty of the big teams that their numbers, when you compare the men's teams to the women's teams in attendance, is not amazing, not naming names. This is the kind of thing that's going to get potentially those people to cross over. To be like, oh my God, we have a chance to win, let's say, $500,000 if the girls get up this game. I'm going to go down and cheer them on. So I think it's a really good... the league actually did something good for once. Let's acknowledge it.
Acknowledge it. West Coast down the bottom, of course. They have not had a great men's and women's season.
No.
I don't know why I pointed it out. I just wanted to say it, but it's there. It exists. Anything else?
Probably the team that needed the most.
They don't need the money. Let's be fair. The money's not a problem with that.
Yeah, and there was a bit of talk. I haven't read the article about where teams will put that money. So maybe next week we can kind of break it down a bit further.
Okay. All right, homework for Polly. Awesome. All right. Any last minute things from either of you too?
It's Pride Round.
Yeah, get along.
Pride Round.
Go to Henson Park on Sunday.
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we'll see you at Henson Park, 1 p.m. on Sunday. Look for Polly in her number 5 jersey with a fantastic badge.
I'll be in my Pride jersey this time.
With the Pride jersey. Numbers on the back. Look for me in jersey doesn't fit me and the fuzzy hair. And we'll see you next week. Until then, up the Bloods and can you Swannies.